you to do that. I also just want to say I've never hosted a Zoom like this before, so I'm sure I'll learn something tonight, and if any tech issues arise, just write it down in the chat box or raise your hand or something, but hopefully it goes smoothly. We will get started just with an overview of this. Basically, we'll talk about the program. Reese will give a little overview of Idaho Rivers United, the big picture goal of the program, and how to finish and wrap it up with action projects. And then at the end, we'll have you enroll and log on to Thinkific, the learning platform. And you can also just feel free to do that now as we're talking. If you haven't already, a lot of people signed up for this Zoom call but haven't enrolled in the course. So please enroll and sign up, and then you can go from there on your own timeline. So I'll dive right in. I just want to take a second to thank people who made this whole program possible. It's been a lot of awesome work behind the scenes, and a bunch of people have contributed to that. This project is in correlation and in partnership from the Forest Service, specifically the Middle Fork Ranger District Office, and the River Network. And I know Catherine from the River Network is here, so thanks for joining us, Catherine. But yeah, we're super excited to bring free continuing education and professional development as an opportunity now and hopefully for years to come, and build this around other rivers. So you guys are all the first cohort or class in this program, which is exciting, and we'll see what you make out of it. Just a little bit of background about me. I am a river guide in Idaho. I've been guiding for 16 seasons, 14 in Idaho, and I just love rivers everywhere, but specifically there. I've really been connected to them for a while and feel home there. And so I wanted to find a way to kind of give back to the community and the river, and this fellowship has been an amazing way to do that. So I'm super grateful to be a part of Idaho Rivers United this year. And yeah, I just think it's pretty neat to have the potential to reach so many people in what we do. And whether you're a guide or not, this program, the goal of it is really like inclusivity and accessibility for conservation and stewardship. So wherever you're coming from, whatever your background is, we're really stoked you're here. Yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm also in grad school for environmental education, so this fits into that, and focusing on indigenous ecological science in river systems. So putting it all together has been awesome in this program. And yeah, I'll turn it over to Reese for a little bit of IRU background.
Sure, thank you, Tess. Okay, looks like I'm off mute. Everybody can hear me. So great to see a lot of familiar faces on here. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. So my name is Reese Hodges, and I know some of you, many of you I don't, so pleased to meet you over the Zoom here. Like Tess said, I work as a conservation associate with Idaho Rivers United, based here in Boise, with our team of about 6 staff members here. I also work as a guide for Middle Fork River Tours and been a guide in Idaho since 2012, mostly on the Middle Fork, and then just a lot of kayaking on my own. For those of you who don't know who Idaho Rivers United is, I'm sure a lot of you do, our mission is to protect and restore the rivers of Idaho. A lot of our work focuses on advocating for protecting our wild and scenic river system that we currently have, and then also working to get more rivers designated as wild and scenic moving into the future. So out of Idaho's river miles, less than 1% of our river miles are protected under the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act. It's really our best tool that we have for protecting rivers. So for that reason, it's a major program area and focus for our organization. We also work on restoring wild salmon and steelhead populations to abundant harvestable populations throughout the state of Idaho. That's another major campaign area. Why we're all here, though, is education is also a big focus of ours. Some of you have probably interacted with IRU in the past, prior to my time, as I'm relatively new at the organization. And we've run a guide education program for many years where we've traveled around the state and visited outfitters and guides kind of right in the beginning of the summer, late spring, as you're gearing up to get out on the river for the summer season, and talked about salmon and steelhead, why Idaho rivers are important for those fish, and shared some tools and resources with guides to be able to share that information with the thousands and thousands of guests that come out to Idaho to experience our incredible rivers. So just to give a little additional background on this project and how Tess kind of got on board with this is when the coronavirus hit and we all kind of came to the realization that life was going to be different for a little while, IRU had to figure out a different way to be able to deliver our programming to guides to make sure that we're still keeping up and making sure that you all are informed and have those tools and resources you need to talk about salmon and steelhead and wild and scenic with folks. And luckily, Tess kind of just appeared out of nowhere, and she came in at the perfect time to really help us execute. And it works really great with what she's doing in terms of her environmental education background. And so the culmination has been the development of this program that we're excited to launch and share with you all. So that's just a little briefly about me and our organization, and then why we're here. I'd love to speak just for a moment here too, just why our organization really believes in the guiding community, outfitting community as just being important advocates for our rivers. So I want to say too is that, as you all know, those of you that have worked as guides for a while, or maybe you're new to it, or maybe you're just a private boater, is that the outdoor industry, guiding and outfitting specifically, is a major industry in Idaho, and it's growing, and we're a force to be reckoned with. And so part of the idea here is that, providing these resources for you all is that you can take that information, share it with guests, become advocates for these resources that as guides we depend upon, from an economic perspective. And it works really well together because protecting our rivers is good for our ecosystems, and it's also good for our economy. So it's really a win-win. So that's why we think that this program is really important. So why this program, and Tessa's gonna kind of speak a little bit more to the details and the nuts and bolts a little bit of kind of the outline of what the program is. But I just want to share a bit more about the why, is that the reason we focus on salmon and steelhead, wild salmon and steelhead particularly, and also wild and scenic, is that, as many of you know, our wild and salmon and steelhead populations are on the brink of extinction in Idaho. And so we really need to do everything that we can to advocate for making large scale changes. And it really starts at the grassroots level and just talking to people. And as you all know, as guides or just river users in general, you generally talk to a lot of people when you're out there on the river for the summer. So that's part of it. In addition, talking about wild and scenic, a lot of you are guides on the Middle Fork, the main salmon, other wild and scenic designated rivers, or rivers that currently are eligible to become wild and scenic in the future. Is that wild and scenic rivers only become designated when people advocate for them, and wild and scenic rivers remain protected and their qualities and values intact when people advocate and protect them. And so we really believe that guides have a tremendous platform to do so. So I just want to give an example, is that for those of you, that have guided in Idaho for a while, you're probably familiar with some issues that we've faced in terms of risks to our wild and scenic system. I'll just speak a little bit to one project in particular that's proposed in the headwaters of the South Fork Salmon River, which is upstream of the wild and scenic designated main salmon. Our organization and a coalition of organizations, individuals, guides, outfitters, companies, community members are very concerned about the idea of a large-scale gold mining project going into the headwaters of a wild and scenic river. So What we hope is that through this program, you can learn a little bit more about the Wild and Scenic Rivers Act, the tools that are available to advocate on behalf of those rivers, and have kind of that information and background to be able to talk comfortably about these issues with folks. In addition, I would just love to say that this program is all about partnerships. And so what we really see here, Tess, spoke a little bit to the partnership that this is a program we've developed in partnership with the Salmon Chalice National Forest, supported through a grant from the River Network, which is a really great organization. And it's really a partnership with the Forest Service. What we hope here is that this is going to form lasting connections between the guiding, outfitting community, non-governmental organizations, nonprofits like ours, Idaho Rivers United, and then also the agencies that manage the resources that we use and the rivers that we go play on and that we go and guide on. And so I think I saw in here the new Wilderness and Rivers Program Manager at Salmon Chalice National Forest, Lisa Byers, is actually on here today. So hopefully through this program, you all will get a chance to interact with Lisa and get to know her a little bit. She's been really helpful for us in collaborating in terms of developing this program. So I think from here, pass it back over to Tess, and Tess can kind of talk a little bit more about the details for the program. So thank you again, everybody, for being here.
Thanks, Reese. Yeah, I want to just take a minute to have us send out this little interactive part. We made a poll, and maybe Caitlin, you could throw that up and see if it goes out to you all. Just to give me a thumbs up if you see a poll in your computer screen. Awesome. Go ahead and answer those questions. And Salmon talks to your guests, or maybe whoever your audience is. Doesn't necessarily have to be a river guest. It could be your friends on a private trip, your kids, whoever, your neighbors. Do you talk about these things? Cool. It's fun to watch the numbers come in. And then is there a way to share that, Caitlin? Share the results with everybody, or should I read them off perhaps?
Yeah, I can share it. It looks like most folks have finished it, so I'm going to end the poll in 5 seconds. So if you're still answering, you've got 5 seconds.
No.
All right, I've shared them. Can give me a thumbs up if you can see the results of the poll? Yeah, okay, perfect.
Right on. It looks like 74% of you talk about salmon. 83% of you talk about wild and scenic rivers. And right in the middle, the average answer was 3 for a scale of 1 to 5 about your comfort level. So that's a cool gauge. Thanks for playing along. Yeah, so we'll just dive into the actual big picture of this program. Basically, it is free and online. As Reese talked about, with COVID, we wanted to create a resource that was available to everybody and accessible, but also engaging. So it's on your own timeline. And really the idea is to this is in the spirit of building community, even though we're fairly disconnected right now, but the river season will be here before we know it. And I'll be out there again. But in the off season, we thought it'd be cool to provide this professional development and continuing education for guides. Personally, I just think it's super powerful in terms of the capacity that we have to be river stewards. Thousands and thousands of people float rivers every year, 10,000, above 10,000 on the Middle Fork alone. And so word of mouth matters. And this is, like Reese said, truly a grassroots kind of program. There's potential to make a big difference, though, I think. And ultimately, those goals of this program are salmon and steelhead recovery and habitat conservation, and also to just encourage the river guiding community and conservation community to talk about these things and issues. And I think more than anything, like, continue to help people build a connection and relationship with these places we love to be and to share those with people. So that's what I see as like a very exciting possibility with this program. And I hope you all find that too. And yeah, either way, it's, you know, wherever you're coming from, some of this content might be like you really know it, or maybe you don't, and it's all new to you. Wherever you are, hopefully you'll find something you can take away from it. And the idea is to spread that knowledge in whatever context that is for you. Part of this idea with the Forest Service and River Network is to like really encourage solid interpretive knowledge for guides on the river, and to just encourage stewardship. So that's kind of the big picture view. And now we'll dive into kind of the immediate curriculum. So you got a link to Thinkific, and that's our online learning platform. Maybe some of us have taken some sort of an online course before, but these days they're seemingly all over. But Thinkific is pretty straightforward. It's user-friendly, I would say. And if you've been on a computer often in these COVID times, it's pretty straightforward of how to enroll and everything. And like I said, it's all on your own timeline. So you can go through every lesson. I believe there's 8 chapters and then an extra resources chapter. And at first, I'll be totally honest, I was like, oh, it's gonna take about 4 hours of your time, and then it kept adding on and adding on. So don't be shocked when you see a ton of what I think is kind of a lot of information. Hopefully it's not too overwhelming, but you know, what you put in is what you'll get out of it, right? And so hopefully take what you can and digest what you, as much as you can or want to, and enjoy it. The point is to, you know, have fun with it and not make it a stressful deal. But the last like action step of this whole thing is to kind of create an online resource and library for guides to continue to build upon with this information. So in order to be a finisher and finish this program, hopefully by the end of May is what we're encouraging, that you will create an action piece. And that can be so many different things. So, you know, we're not checking along the way like what you're completing within the program. There's everything from like a bunch of articles and videos and research articles, all sorts of different content. But ultimately, we want you to create something that you care about and want to share. And ideally, we hope that you would like to add that to this guide library, for lack of a better term, that will live on the Idaho Rivers United website. So, you know, sometimes, like I know our company where I work, we have to have end of the season interp projects sent in as part of like being core crew or something. So there's maybe some different requirements out there. This one is just to be able to build a body of work. And like I said before, hopefully it just keeps on and grows, and next year we do a different river, and you know, it just continues to evolve and build into an awesome free resource for our community and beyond. So that action project and action step is you taking away whatever, you know, maybe you're passionate about or really enjoyed in the along the way in the course. You can focus on a different chapter. You could do a map, an interpretive talk, a game, an art project, really anything, a poem, you know, anything that you want, but that is yours to create. So yeah, that's the fun creative part that is up to you, and I'm super excited to see what is made from that. And then, yeah, at the end of the spring, hopefully by mid-May, we're done with that and turned in. And then if you finish, you get a fun little swag bag with a sun hoodie with our little logo on it, and a really cool educational toolkit that Reese has spearheaded specifically to like make a usable tool to bring out on the river. And you might have seen these in years past with your outfitters, but basically they're like waterproof cards on a key ring that you can give to guests to look at, or your audience, whoever that is, and just have a really nice like interp thing to live in your library and take down the river with you, like nice solid waterproof cards. So that's the educational toolkit. And then we'll swag bag full of fun stuff, and then we'll do an end of the program meet up on Zoom again and do a little trivia raffle, and a bunch of Idaho guide businesses have donated some fun prizes. Some of those folks are on here, so thank you all for your willingness to donate your awesome crafts and artwork and awesome things that you make. Really appreciate that. So that'll be in the spring. And then throughout, you know, from now until May, we'll have more updates for you. We're gonna hopefully have some more creative, like new content to add to the curriculum. We're gonna do some interviews and just other things to add along the way. So that's kind of all I had in terms of this meeting's agenda, but I guess now is a really good time, if you haven't already, to open up that Thinkific tab and try to enroll and register for the course if you haven't already. You can dive in and look at things that are on there. Caitlin just put the link in the chat. Thank you for that. And also, this is going to be recorded. If friends or people you might know missed it, it'll be sent out on an email link, and I believe on always somewhere on the Facebook page, I believe Caitlin said, and then on YouTube. Our IRU's YouTube page, I believe, it'll be recorded. And the other thing I just want to add is, if you want to be like matched up with somebody within this awesome pool of people to kind of bounce your action project off, I'd be happy to do that, to pair you up with somebody maybe you have never met, or somebody, or a buddy, or you can do that on your own too, and kind of like bounce your ideas back and forth about your action piece, which I think would be a fun way to just kind of have like a little pen pal over the off season or something. Yeah. Any questions, anybody? Or, you know, feel free to unmute yourself and we can chat. You can talk. It doesn't have to be silent now. I can drop the mic, and would love to hear from you if you have any ideas about your action piece, or things that you're super excited about, why you love fish, why you love wild rivers. Also, no pressure. So anyway, thank you all so much for joining us. And yeah, we'll just hang out here for a little bit if you want. And otherwise, yeah, thank you all and have a good night. Please email me if you have any questions, or give a call. I'd love to chat and meet more of us. Yeah, cheers.
Thanks so much, Tess. I just want to give a round of applause to Tess. She's put in so much work in terms of developing this program online, and I really believe it's an incredible resource.
You're here.
I'm so excited to go through
Yeah,
it.
Tess rules. Reese rules.
Feel free to unmute and you know, say a nice thing.
Thank you all. That's so sweet.
Tess, I've always known that you were my hero.
Shucks. Blushing on Zoom.
We love you, Tess.
Thanks, everybody. Good to see so many great people here.
Tess, I'm just looking and I see that we do have Mary from Save the South Fork Salmon is here, and it looks like she has a good connection. So
Great.
Yeah, I would just love to introduce Mary from Save the South Fork Salmon. Let's see if I'm not sure if I'm able to find her and unmute her, or if Mary, are you able to unmute yourself? And
I
say
just
hello?
tried.
Okay, there we go.
Hi, Mary.
Yeah. So Mary is a founding board member of Save the South Fork Salmon, which is a grassroots organization that formed around protecting the South Fork of the Salmon River, which, as many of you know, comes into the wild and scenic Maine Salmon River. And I spoke a little bit about a gold mining project proposal in that area that we're concerned about impacts to wild and scenic values downstream. And so just wanted to introduce Mary, and maybe she can just give us a quick elevator pitch about Save the South Fork Salmon and what they're up to.
Thanks, Reese. This is such a wonderful idea because, okay, I'm not in the guide community. However, I feel a tiny bit connected. My son is a guide on the Middle Fork. He's with Solitude. So some of you may know him. His name is Ian. And I've been down the Middle Fork a lot, lived on the Salmon River, worked on the South Fork of the Salmon River with the Forest Service as a fish biologist for close to 30 years. Retired now, and I'm an environmental advocate. And I have been particularly involved with a group called Save the South Fork, and that's the South Fork of the Salmon. So I was listening earlier on this talk, and somebody, I think it was you, Reese, said that IRU was a force to be reckoned with. Well, Save the South Fork is also a force to be reckoned with. And if any of you live around McCall or ever read the local papers around McCall, you probably have heard of us. We formed as a grassroots organization to protect the South Fork Salmon River, which is a very major tributary to the Maine Salmon River, coming into the Maine just west of the Middle Fork, which all of you are familiar with. There's a mine proposed at the headwaters of the South Fork. It's called the Stibnite Gold Project. It's been proposed by Midas Gold Company. And it has some pretty severe implications in terms of threats to water quality and fish in the future. Some of the high points are a 400-foot plus high dam holding back 420 acres of toxic tailings, which is about 100 million tons. Dam fail, this would direct toxic substances down into the Maine salmon. There's long-term catastrophic environmental risks from this dam. An EIS came out this summer. It's moving through its exercises through the Forest Service, but the potential for contaminants to the Maine salmon is real. And it's been fairly glossed over by the mining company and by the Forest Service. We'd love to educate the guiding community of the Middle Fork and the Maine about this. And that's why I'm interested in this particular forum. I don't want to go on. I could go on all night about it, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a teaser about some of the threats to the wild steelhead salmon that Reese and Tess have been talking about, and to the wild and scenic river values that are posed by tributaries into these rivers that are not protected by the Wild and Scenic River Act or by the Wilderness River Act. So the Middle Fork is wild and scenic, and it's in the wilderness. The Maine salmon is wild and scenic, and it's in the wilderness. The South Fork, with this big project planned in its headwaters, is not wild and scenic and is not in the wilderness. However, it has the potential to affect these wilderness rivers. So I just wanted to give a little pitch and a thank you to Tess and Reese for inviting us in, and maybe we'll be a part of the curriculum a little bit later, and I may get to meet all of you sometime as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Mary. And a really great point that Mary brought up is just that, we know that Wild and Scenic Rivers Act is an incredible tool that we have. And for those, some of you probably know a lot about it. Some of you will be new as you dive into the curriculum to learn more. But it really is our best kind of bedrock law that we have to protect free-flowing rivers, water quality, and outstanding values that, that we all know that we have on certain select rivers. The South Fork of the Salmon in particular, downstream of the mine site, currently is suitable for wild and scenic designation. And so I certainly encourage you all, as you learn more about wild and scenic, to take opportunities to advocate for when the opportunity comes up for certain rivers to become designated. Like I said earlier, rivers only become designated if there's people that that ask for it to happen. So that's a big part of that. And I think the guiding community in particular, meeting so many folks over the summer, is you have the opportunity to share that info and get more people to advocate for wild and scenic. So I don't want to put Lisa on the spot here. I'm not sure if she's still here, but if Lisa Byers is here and would like to say hello, that could be another great thing, because we certainly would love to, you know, kind of be the bridge between the guiding community and the river managing agencies, like I said, and Lisa is the new Wilderness and River Programs Manager for the Salmon Chalice National Forest. So Lisa, if you're here, if you could say hello. I'm not sure if she's still on here. There's so many
here.
in here. Oh, okay, there we go.
Okay, well, hello everyone. I'm Lisa Byers, and like we said, I'm the new Wilderness and Rivers Program Manager for the Salmon Chalice National Forest. And so that's overseeing the management for both the Middle Fork and the main salmon. I'm living in Salmon, and I moved here in June, so it's a big learning curve. I'm learning a lot along the way. And prior to this, I was a river ranger. I was a river ranger on the main salmon for one season, and then for a couple of seasons in Alaska, a couple seasons on the Wild and Scenic Rogue River, and the Payette River as well. So I'm a huge component for education and interpretation. Reese mentioned that earlier before. Yeah, being a river ranger, that was one of my most favorite things, was just interacting with the public and the guides and the guests and anybody out there on the river. You know, just talking and help educating when necessary. And you know, that was one of my favorite things. And hopefully that'll still play a role as I move up into this, you know, more into this management position. But I'm really thrilled about this certificate program, and thank you, Reese and Tess, for putting so much work into this. I'm really excited to see so many folks on this Zoom call today, and hopefully a lot of you are signing up. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me. I guess that's about it. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Oh.
Hopefully everybody will get a chance to see you on the river this summer. Hopefully you'll be able to get out on the Middle Fork.
Yeah, and so
okay.
I guess I could say a couple more things. I have, I've done 2 Middle Fork trips. One was just this past season with the Forest Service, and then I guess about 6 years ago, I did a Marsh Middle pre-season trip launching on May 1st. And it was just a self-support kayak trip. So that was my first experience on the Middle Fork, and it was just an incredible experience. But I'm an avid kayaker. So yeah, hopefully I'll see you guys out and about, either on a private trip or on maybe a Forest Service patrol trip. So hopefully I'll see you out in the river someday.
Cool. Did everybody enroll? Yeah? Sweet. Okay. That's great. Anything else, Reese? Or we?
Tess, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's hi Tess, thank you. Thank you all so much for putting this together. This is so cool, and so cool that it's free and so easy to access on our own time and in our own way. I think this is awesome. I hope there are many programs in the future that look like this. But I had a question about the I forget what you called it, but the like creative component of it. I'm wondering if there are ways to, or if the platform allows for ways to collaborate on that.
That's a great question, and I actually forgot to mention that part of it, so thank you. The platform specifically doesn't have a way to collaborate beyond the discussion boxes, but we really want and encourage you guys to all like write something in the discussion box that you find exciting after you read an article or watch a video or something like that. Like the more you participate and bring your own experience in, the more fun and rich the program will be, I think. But in terms of like a finishing area to upload your projects to, that will be on the IRU website. We just created a whole separate guide education kind of portal and page for those projects to go. And I also think we could, we could think more about that end goal of like being able to share it as we go. Whether that's even a big, Google Drive folder or something along those lines. But yeah, that's a great point. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I'm just thinking like there are, I'm sure there are some really cool and diverse skill sets among this group that when put together could come up with some really cool projects.
Yeah, totally.
So
if
just
you,
like,
yeah, absolutely. And like really that action piece is totally up to you all. You could partner up with a bunch of people and create something together. You don't all have to have an individual thing to be a finisher. In fact, that sounds like an awesome idea. If you wanted to, reach out within your company and have your crew work on something together, that would be really cool. Or, branch out and introduce yourself to somebody you've never met, maybe on your launch date or something, and team up with them. Or if you're not a Middle Fork guy, that's cool too. Just maybe you want to meet somebody who works out there, whatever it is. But yeah, I totally encourage collaboration. And like I said, your experiences and stories and knowledge is so much a part of what's going to make this awesome. Like when I think of good interp, I think of all the stories I've heard from other people. And I really think that like oral tradition and storytelling is such a big part of what we do as stewards and guides and just people in general. Like when we hear a good story, we remember it. And that makes a difference with building a relationship and a connection. And when you're passionate about something, then people listening will be, right? And so, yeah, like bring the stoke and the fire and share it together and make something awesome.
I just saw in a chat a request or a proposition of having a Slack channel or some way to, I don't know if you think I haven't looked at the like program yet, so I don't know if the community boards are a great place to do that, or if a Slack channel in combination is.
I would have to get more information about
it. Probably not something
that could be a really cool idea. Yeah, totally. We could, or look at Caitlin's on it. IRU said we'll work on it. Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, great question. Anybody else have thoughts about that project or final kind of piece?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to chime in and just say that this is fantastic. And this, as you all know, this is a pilot project, and this is all about getting feedback and ideas from you all because you all have so much to offer and bring. So just wanted to say I'm excited to see these ideas popping up right off the bat. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
And I want to say something. This is Mary. I'm not putting my video on because it's robbing my bandwidth, but you guys have such an influence on people. I mean, you've got people for a week. They're out of their element. They're in this incredible landscape. They're a little out of their comfort level, some of them, because they're camping and they're fishing and they're in the water and they have to poop and pee in an alternate motif. And they come back with this incredible awe. But they don't, if they don't hear about some of the stuff that we all know about, they don't get it. They just think, oh, they're in kind of a playground, they're in a recreational area. And if they, I think that there's just this open channel between you guides, you are their heroes. And whatever you say, they remember for a long time. I see Reese smiling, and because he's, you know, a guide on the Middle Fork. And there is an open, even a more open forum for messages about wild and scenic, about endangered salmon and steelhead, about threats to these last places that are, there aren't that many of them left in the United States. You guys are on the gold standard. I hate to use that word gold because I just trashed gold in another talk, but I just wanted to mention that you should not downgrade, even if you're like a new guide or think, oh yeah, you've just got this boatload full of people. You have a tremendous influence for educational opportunity with these guys. And I'm just thrilled that there's an avenue for perpetuating this message. So go for it.
Yeah, thanks, Mary.
Tess and Reese and everyone, we promised some IRU swag to someone who pre-registered for this. So let's draw that name. Tess, pick a number between 1 and 99.
Oh boy. 48.
All right, 48, I hope you're here. 48 is Kelly O'Keefe. Kelly.
Yeah, Kelly!
Kelly!
Yeah, Kel.
Awesome. Kelly, we will send you an email and we'll get your address and we'll send you some IRU swag. Thanks for registering.
Yay. That was fun. Thanks, Caitlin. Cool. All right, everybody, unless there's any more questions.
Hey, Tess, I'd like to make an invitation to people, if I may.
Please, John.
So my name's John, and I live on the Gila River, way down in New Mexico. I guided for years on the salmon. I've run the South Fork of the Salmon, one of the most beautiful rivers ever. Thank you, Mary, so much for all that you do, and thanks to Tess and Reese. And if anybody there's a bill that has been introduced to make the Gila River wild and scenic. Not likely going to happen soon with the chaos, but if anybody has questions about other wild and scenic rivers, especially the Gila, please give me a call. I envy you up on the salmon. It is easier to protect a river that has giant wild fish like salmon in it. We have dace, and it's like I can walk across with barely getting my ankles wet right now. So our river, yes, keep fighting for that beautiful, beautiful river. And I will be right there alongside you, and hopefully up there with Team River Runner. Does anybody know Team River Runner people? Is there any Team River Runner people showing up tonight? Get them involved. A beautiful group of people running rivers up there in Idaho as well. So thanks to everybody, especially to you, Tess, for involving me in this. I will be telling people in the Grand Canyon about salmon, whether they want to hear it or not. So,
thanks, John. Awesome.
Yeah.
So if you have a link for the Gila or anything, feel free to throw it in the chat.
Okay, I will throw it in. That sounds good.
Thanks, John.
Be well, friends.
Be well. Any other thoughts out there? Comments, questions? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I think we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much for your enthusiasm and support through all this. It's super exciting to connect with more people in our community. And yeah, I'm super excited. Stay tuned for updates. We will we'll think about Slack or trying to have more of a community forum. If you all would be into like maybe a monthly optional Zoom or something just to check in and chat and talk about your projects, we could do that. But yeah, enjoy, and thank you all, and have a great rest of your night.
Thanks, Tess.
Thanks, Tess.
Woo!
Yes, and everybody.
Thank you, Tess.
Tess and
Yeah.
Reese.
Appreciate
Check
you guys.
you later.
Thank you guys.
Bye, Camila.